Just wanted to start off. Sorry, there was a lot of people last week at the HFMA costing conference. Just wanted to show of hands who were there. A couple. I thought about 50%, but it's a little bit less than that, so that's good. So there is a bit of course, my wonderful costing director came along at that conference and gave a good spiel with the talking about the costing transformation program, but they were on stage with the Department of Health and Sarah from the Department of Health, and it was a great message from there. I will be a shorter, smaller version of exactly that, but we'll be adding the benchmarking spiel onto as well. What we wanted to do today is we wanted to come and give you an overview of the actual costing transformation program itself. We wanted to, as Richard put up, we wanted to give you a little bit more of that acute sector analysis. And no, there isn't there, and we have done stuff for, we have done analysis also for, and I know there's players in this room, also people that do costing in mental health land, and also in ambulance, and also in the community as well. We're not ignoring you, we're just, as I said, what we're doing is we're just, we have the information for that we wanted to share today to give you a bit of insight into, and of course we'll be pushing into your world very soon indeed. We'll give you the progress to date, we'll give you the cost collection and analysis team, and I'll introduce Paul and he can go through his integral part of his part of the job in that program as well coming up. We'll be talking about the 1516 police collection, the importance of benefits of what we're doing, the next steps, what you need to do, and of course our contacts so that we are always available for you. I had conversations this morning, I gave out and I give out liberally my mobile phone number that's available from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. If you want to ring that number, please feel free to do so. Part of our role is engagement. We will engage with you. Before I go on though, and do we have that microphone that was wandering around a little earlier? It's there, okay. Rose. Hello. Okay. I just wanted to come along and explain something that's absolutely, totally critical for us from the centre, right? I just wanted to explain something to you now, that we have a purpose, that why we're here today talking at a benchmarking meeting, right? Because we all have the same goal, right? And this is what this discussion's about today. This discussion is about us within this benchmarking group having exactly the same goal, right? And this is it. This is what our goal is within the costing transformation team. That's it, right? You are all users here of that costing data, right? And what we need is we need you on that journey to actually ensure we have the best data possible in the use of benchmarking data. That's it, right? So if you want to know about the costing transformation plan, about where we all need to be, we need to have that better benchmarking data. Now, the reason why we need to be there is because we are, of course, concerned about the detail to the standards and, of course, in what we're collecting. And, of course, we're engaging you to ensure that we're actually, getting that information. But this is where the rubber hits the road, when you're actually using this data, right? There is transformation in my title. I'm the costing transformation lead. And the thing is, the why it's there is because it's about using this data. And we will engage and we will pester you and we will do all the work in the back end to ensure that there's even better data in this costing data set, okay? So I just wanted to, I know there's a lot, there's a lot of people that talk about, they're from the centre. They've got, no clue about what we do in costing itself or within benchmarking, or they've never had that conversation with a clinician and had that tussle and that fight for them to actually accept that data. I'm sorry, but we have, right? I've been thrown out of doctors' offices. I've been thrown out of doctors' offices when we've actually given them this data. But the thing is, I've been back and knocked on that door, right? And I've said to them, here it is again, and it's better, and it will be better, and it will be better again, until they start to shrug and go, okay, that's what it is, right? very interesting. Jeremy and I were having a conversation the other day where he was actually using some of this benchmarking data, and he actually went and spoke to a clinician, and he got probably beaten up with the data and gave him the data. But then after a while, and I'm sorry if I'm stealing some of your thunder here, is that the doctor said, that's actually work I don't really want to do. I'm happy for somebody to take on that work, right? And if the medical lead is going to allow it, I'm not interested in that work. I know I take a long time to do it. I know I actually take more than my peers to actually do that work. And when that data was put in front of him, he said, yes, okay, I accept that, but how else can we actually then provide that exact same service but in a better, more efficient fashion? That's what it's all about. So the thing is, if you're sick and tired of hearing people from the centre come and lecture you about what you need to do, what you need to be, just keep in mind, we have exactly the same goal, right? So I just wanted that message straight up and clear, right? That we want the same goal as you. If you want to ensure that we're off track, or if we need to hear a message that you have, ring us and talk to us. Because funnily enough, we don't always understand this stuff. We sometimes don't understand what your issues are. Okay, so if you need to talk to us, pick up the phone and talk to us, okay? Because we have exactly the same goal as you, and I wanted to make sure that was very clear from the onset of this conversation. How many of you just do reference cost alone? Just wanted to raise hand up. Any of the trusts that just do reference costs alone rather than actually being into Plix land or actually using this further information? I don't know why you do it. Actually, I do know why you do it. The reason why you do it is because we tell you to. All right? Centre says you've got to do reference costs, so you do reference costs. Right? I think it's a mere culpa from us. We're going to lay down the swords and say, and Richard brought along his stick before. We've put down the stick. Okay, he said that at the HFMA conference. But I need you to know and understand that we need something more. We all need something more from what is reference costs. Okay? And it is available and it is out there and it's called Plix. Right? Because Plix does three things and it does those three things well and answers a lot of questions. Right? Okay, it informs pricing. It gives us the information that we need from the centre to actually then the tariff calculation process. We need that information, and of course we needed that information from reference costs. But amazingly enough, it does two other things very, very well indeed when you've got this information at the patient level. Right? What it does is it actually then informs benchmarking, why we're all here today. Patient level costing is integral to that process. Right? So externally, you can look at other hospitals and say, how are we compared to other hospitals? Are we efficient? Are we not? Is that hip replacement, is that hip joint that's in place, is that more expensive than what my peers are paying for it? It gives you that level of information, right? And we want further work of that, right? We want for your doctors to consider those details in the delivery of their care. That's what we want, right? And as I said, we can then do this stuff externally. You can look at other hospitals, but what's the hard part sometimes for hospitals is to look inside themselves, look inside the care they provision and start to actually then say, improve your reporting. Costing for my trust that I used to work for only made sense when it was constantly reported. It entered the quarterly reporting process, right? It entered, even if it was yearly, we started to put the information in the costing data into that. We were constantly being in front of people with this information. Don't be a mushroom, shove it in the bottom drawer, hide it away, lock yourself up in a small room and just do costing. It's got to get out there, right? And this is what Plix is about, and this is what we want Plix to be. That's all the good news. I've got some bad news for you. The bad news is we need you to be at a certain place at a certain time and we need you to come along for the ride, okay? So we have what we're calling legacy Plix. We have legacy Plix at the present time, and we've got a new process that we're working through with the roadmap partners at the moment with a brand new process, right, that we're calling the CTP Plix collection, right? So the thing is there is that I don't know if you know or not, or if you do know or not, but I'm hoping it's very much on your radar. We have a new process coming, and please come along for the ride, because there's going to be a lot more granularity to the data we're asking you of and a lot more use of that data. This slide was given by my director at the at the costing conference, and he stepped out where we need to be on the stage, and I'm not going to do this, I'm just going to do this very quickly. This information will be coming out in your pack, right, because we've given it to IMS this morning. The thing is that I just want to point out a couple of things to you. We have a great sell to you, and this is it. If we can get PLIX in a good enough position, we can turn off reference costs, right? You're not doing reference costs, you're doing PLIX. That's where we want you to be. But the thing is, DH are only going to agree to that if we actually get PLIX into that beautiful position that they have absolute faith in it. So therefore, we've got a timeline we've given to them, and Sarah's agreed to, right, that we're saying, okay, these are the new standards which are actually going to be released, right? This is, as I said, this is the collection that we actually get from it, and this here is where we actually show DH that we can actually turn off reference cost. That's where that decision has got to be made. Of interest, our intent at the present time, our intent by that stage is to mandate PLIX. I want you to let that sink in for a while, right? That is our intent, and I want that clearly messaged today. Our intent is to enforce PLIX. So if you aren't along for the ride at the present time for PLIX, also consider that it's going to take you a couple of years to probably get PLIX up to play, right? And if you're not in that space at the present time, we need you in play by then. You can't do this when we're looking at mandating in 1819. You can't go to us then and say, we haven't told you. We never knew that you were going to mandate it, right? Clearly, we're saying to you, our intent within the costing transformation program is to mandate PLIX by that stage. The benefit to that is I want to also be able to tell you on one of these stages in a couple of years' time, or Richard, my director, that we're turning off reference cost. That'd be a beautiful world. We need you along on that ride. So if there's anybody that needs to talk to us within the engagement team, if you need to talk to us about, well, I don't have the right WTE in place, I don't have the right investment in place, we'll talk about this as well, and I'll explain what we've done about that. So what we've done along those slides is, as I said, we've created for this new cost collection, we've created new university applied, the healthcare costing standards for England version 0.1 draft, I think is its official name, right? We have actually, just so you know, there is some new costing standards out there, and by the end of this year, by September or October, we will be having version 1 of new costing standards. Yes, we appreciate the work that HFMA has done in this space and the work that you've done with HFMA and with us as well. It's been very much appreciated. But for the first time, we're going to have universally applied acute health costing standards that's going to be available. And of course, you know that we're also working in mental health. We'll be working with mental health, community, and other areas into the year's future to come up with the same thing, right? So it's worthwhile having a look at those standards and having a look at what's out there, because it'll very much give you an idea of the direction we're heading. Paul here today is to talk about the single national cost collection. I don't know how much we can talk about it, but we have actually been given approval for a single national database for that, or I suppose you'd call it a national repository for health costing data, and there'll be a lot of work over the coming years to make sure that's available. My role, which is we're going to be out there, we're going to be knocking on doors, we're going to make sure you're very clear of what we're about. You know, that's my job, and if you see my face about, well, hey, I'm sorry, but the thing is, that's my job, and we'll be out there talking to you. And more importantly, we're able to talk to, because we come with that NHS badge, used to be monitor, we can actually go and sit down with the boards, go and have that conversation with your boards, with your chief execs, with your FDs, and say, if this is what you need to be on board for the PLIX process, then, and if you're hitting issues, please talk to us. We'll go and have those conversations, with or without the stick. It seems to be a roller coaster, this conversation, because I'm going to bring you down once again, right? The issue is that we actually have looked into it as part of the engagement role. We've looked into it and said, well, how is costing in this country? And sadly, it's not exactly where we need it to be, all right? I was actually hoping when I took the the fluoro jacket off of the boat that took me here from Australia. I was hoping I'd land in a country where we have this beautiful situation where PLIX is used to inform service provision. We have a very limited number of you that actually do this. Well, that's the information we actually got from the reference cost survey. Right, if that's wrong, apologies, but that's the information that you're telling us. We have a lot of this end here with people who are not on that journey as yet. Some of you don't even have a PLIX system, and we're going to be talking to you about it. Some of you are not using it when you're not reporting to us PLIX data, right? And we'll be talking about that as well. But the thing is that we need you, well, how can I say this? It's the same thing I've said before. We need you on that journey, and we need you to be further advanced on that journey. And that's what this message is. We've already done a fair bit of work in the published tools that you can use to get yourself along the journey. Have a look. There is a document at the end. There is a link to the transformation program on our website. On that website, there is this paper called the Patient Level Costing Case for Change. Right? I thank the people here that put in case studies for that document. We've got some really strong case studies where we're actually proving that there really is best practice in England with using of costing data. Have a look at that presentation, have a look in the back of that, there's some of those there. But it also goes on the national journey, why we're doing this. It talks about Carter. It talks about what's the centre's push for this information. Please have a look at that document. I sweated over that document, and Verity, my manager, was also sweated over that document. There's a lot of information that you can use, such as what we consider is the right level of WTE that you need at small, medium, large or tertiary hospitals. If you are expected to do PLIX with limited WTE, and with limited people actually doing it, we need to come and have a conversation with you. If you don't have that backup, you need it. And that document talks about that, and it's worthwhile having a look at it. As I said, we've got the draft healthcare costing standards for England out there. And of course, Ben's done some magical work in also the minimum software requirements regarding that. Thank you, Ben. So the thing is that, as I said, we've got that detail behind the new collections. It's worthwhile having a look at it, and please do so. Yes, we're engaging. We've heard enough about that. Okay, we'll be out there and we'll be talking to you. We'll be also releasing the Acute Standards version 1. All right? This is not done by ourselves. As I said, those roadmap partners that Jeremy spoke about, right? We're in close cahoots with them. We're learning, we're listening as we go with this stuff. Okay? So we're not just coming down from the centre again and just giving you this stuff. We're listening and we're learning as we go. And we need to do more listening and learning about what the issues are before we get Acute Standards version 1 out there. We have work to do. We know, we understand it. And the mental health and ambulance standards being developed this year as well, and hopefully a bit further push into community. And of course, I'll be introducing now, if you'd like to come on stage, I'll be introducing Paul to talk about the platform to support the new PLIX collection.
Thank you very much. Apologies for the mafia mugshots, but I thought it would be useful to put on screen, to put some faces to names in terms of who my team is and what we're doing. So myself at the top there, costing lead. We're pretty much a brand new team. Some of the guys have been with previously Monitor for a few years, but we've sort of been through a restructure, so we've set up a new team that looks after the cost collection and analysis aspects of the transformation programme. There's a separate team that sets the standards. Julia Gray runs that. Once the standards have been set, so as Winston's already explained, a draft version is already in circulation. So my team's job now is to ensure there's a system in place to collect that information and feed it back to the sector and any other end user to make sure that information is used constructively. So who we are, I just want to get across that we've got quite a wide range of experience from the sector. I previously worked at University Hospital Bristol, Assistant Director of Finance, looking after costing and service line reporting. Previously worked for the Audit Commission prior to that, before it was closed down, when I introduced an activity-based costing model across the country and an activity-based budgeting model across the country. Some of my team there, Mark Gorman, has previously worked for Civica, was a director at Civica, professional services director. Also got 15 years NHS costing experience. Ben, who's here today, you may have seen present at some of these events previously. He's also got, I think, about 8 years experience NHS costing. Mohammed has got some experience in mental health sector. Stephen's got some experience in the ambulance sector. And Chris is a really good analyst, comes from an economic type background. So I just want to get across. I think it's important for me that we've got a lot of trust viewpoints there, so we understand some of the issues that you face on a day-to-day basis. We now need to balance that as a team with what is required nationally. And there will be some pinch points, I think, that we can talk to you with Winston using the engagement techniques he's already talked about. In terms of what we're doing, essentially, there's sort of two main things, really. As I already alluded to, we're ensuring there's a central collection system in place in NHSI to receive the information and analyse that information. And that's a big investment for us, because you're probably aware that we're receiving a lot more granular information in the future. So we need to be able to interrogate that really quickly and feed that information back to the sector very quickly. So that's the intention in the future. We're also putting in, we're also setting up a national framework for PLIX systems, which my team is working on, and we're meeting with all the PLIX suppliers over the next few weeks to talk to them about what we're doing with the transformation program, etc. So that will really set the scene and for the conversations they will be having with you guys in the future. That's the system side of things. We then, sort of the inputs. In terms of the outputs then, our job is to set the standards for benchmarking nationally. So we'll be working with private company partners. We've also got plans ourselves to improve our own benchmarking tools. We've also got plans to potentially improve the way we analyse the data, and I'll share that with the sector in the future to try and drive up data quality. So we'll be really investing time in that in the future. Another key aspect to the outputs is we will be the key liaison between costing and price setting. So we've got a wider pricing team in NHSI. So we will be the key link there with the pricing team and how they use our big database to improve the tariff going forward. Okay, in terms of the imminent short-term future, I think it's important not to lose sight of the current PLIX collection that most of you guys will contribute to. The details of the collection window will release soon. We were hoping to get them out just before this meeting. It didn't quite happen, but should be within the next week, probably via one of our newsletters, which I think is scheduled to go out next week, I think. We've extended the collection window this year till the end of October, so it would be a 3-month window from August to the end of October. I think in previous years it would have been mid-September, I think, and that's in recognition of obviously the additional work you guys have to do on the reference cost submissions with the integration of education and training, so to give you a bit more time on that. It's very much business as usual, really, from we're calling this the legacy collection internally in NHSI. It's very much business as usual, so we'll continue to use the previous standards that you've always used for this year's PLIX collection. So the acute clinical costing standards and the same template as in previous years with a few tweaks, I think. And as Winston has already sort of alluded to, the more people we can get doing the current PLIX, the better placed everybody will be in terms of implementing requirements of the transformation program in the future. The bottom point there is about we would encourage you to start reviewing the new standards as soon as possible, really. I've spoken to a lot of you guys, and I think some of you are starting to review them already, which is really good in terms of mapping the cost ledger. I think that's an important step then to the transition from legacy PLIX to transformation PLIX in the future. So the importance and benefits, I think in terms of how the information is used, we will start using the information this year to inform tariff. We've already started talking to our pricing colleagues. In previous years, we've already started talking to NHS England, for example, and the Department of Health about making better use of PLIX in the future, because currently, really, they're only really using reference costs to set the tariff. But those conversations are happening now, so they are starting to use previous year's PLICs, and we will be really ramping that up going forward. So the PLICs collection that you submit to us in October will be used to inform tariffs. So it's vitally important we try and get as many people submitting PLICs as soon as possible, because it will inform the tariff. And obviously, a benefit for submitting to us is access to our PLICs benchmarking tool. You obviously get access to the Albatross or IMS tool as well. I think the pros and cons of both tools. Previously as a trust, I was part of the Albatross group, and I also reviewed the old monitor tool. So I've got an idea of sort of how we can improve our own NHSI tool. And our plan is to make some changes this year, almost as a stepping stone to the future. So some of the changes we're hoping to do, subject to a few internal issues around IT, governance, resource, etc. But we're hoping to make the tool more accessible. So we're going to make it a web-based tool this year, so you can share it with clinicians, for example, so that we know downloading Tableau, for example, down to your desktop. You won't be able to share it. You couldn't share that previously very well. So it'll be a web-based tool, fingers crossed, subject to IT, where you can just get a single name, use a logon, password via the internet, and you can access that tool. We'll be adding in specialty. That wasn't in there previously, which seems a bit strange to me, but so that's a quick win. Obviously, a lot of benchmarking is done at a specialty level. And we'll be making some improvements to the logic and flow of the tool to make it a bit more user-friendly. So that's a stepping stone to the future. I think in the future we've got some aspirations in terms of setting the standards for national benchmarking, working with our partner organisations. And so all I would say is watch this space on that, because we've got some big conversations to have around how we promote benchmarking in the future across the sector. One other thing that we'll be publishing soon, probably within the next few weeks, you may have seen in previous years, we call it, I think, a findings report. I think Monitor has published previously about the data quality nationally. We'll be publishing that over the next few months, so that will inform your October submissions. It will identify a few key issues that you may want to inform your submission this year. Okay, so next steps. Prepare for healthcare costing standards. Work with your PLIC suppliers as soon as possible. As I already said, we'll be talking to PLIC suppliers soon, so expect some progress on that shortly. Share your data. Participate in the NHS improvement PLIC collections, as Winston's already said. And contact us if we need any help. I think there are details on the next page there in terms of our website. We've got a general NHSI costing email address, and we've also got mine and Winston's email addresses there and phone numbers, so feel free to contact us, whether it's to do with board engagement, buying a PLIC system, any queries around the cost collection, the timings, any queries on the standards themselves. We'll do our best to forward them onto our standards team, so feel free to contact us at any point in time.